Where'll you be going?
Texas?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Go on, make it happen.
And now here's Steve and Michelle.
Welcome to Mallet and Michelle. I am Michelle Lewis, and apparently my snacks and Lunchable nachos are now contraband. Red dye number what? And here's Steve Mallet, safe as usual, with his beige kale chips and cardboard energy bars. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing good, and I am so glad RFK is on my side now. Your desk is going to get cleaned off, though. All your chips and snacks and chocolates, gone.
You know what? It would be a good time to be colorblind, because if they're going to take all those dyes out.
True. Oh, they're going to replace them with some other
beet
dye
juice?
beet juice. Everything is going to become very bland.
No,
and very healthy.
Look, I don't think the dyes have anything to do with the flavor, do they?
They
I
don't have
think
anything to do with the flavor. They make it like Fruit Loops and things like that look way more attractive. They're way more colorful.
Well, who cares? I'm older. My eyesight's going anyways. I can't.
I can't tell the difference.
That's why my glasses are on. My glasses are off. My glasses are on. My glasses are off.
Hey, our guest today, Sheri Soltes. I hope I said her last name correctly. Service Dogs Incorporated. She runs a nonprofit that sets people up with service dogs.
This is a very interesting story. I did a little deep dive on her background. She's a former attorney and started this nonprofit 35 plus years ago. I am really interested to kind of hear what she rescues, or she gets rescue animals.
Only rescue animals, not purebred dogs.
And it's all free. They donate these dogs and the training and the lifetime maintenance training to people who are deaf and mobility disabled.
And they do a courtroom friend dog or something like that for people when they're in court that have high anxieties, lots of stress.
Yeah.
They provide a dog for them to comfort them. So very cool. We're going to get her in here in a few minutes. Got to thank our sponsors.
Oh, yeah, I guess we do have to think. Who's our sponsors? I have my sponsors over here.
We are working on I can't announce it
ginormous,
yet, but gigantic sponsorship deal. Somebody approached us, and we're over the moon. Thrilled.
I'm very excited. I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan.
I'm a huge fan, too. I don't necessarily partake in all of the stuff that they do, but I am a huge fan.
Well, so our other sponsors right now are Jovi Belterra, which they are just lovely.
They are lovely, and that's a great place to live if you're 55 plus. That's where you want to move to.
Not yet. I got 7 months.
Oh, is it 7 months? Yeah.
7?
Well, it's a little less than that, Michelle.
No, it's not. My birthday's in December.
It's still April. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's getting pretty close.
Yeah, it's a South Star Bank.
South Star Bank. Gotta love Brent, the rodeo clown over there, and all the fine people. They handle all your banking needs, and they can help you with a loan.
And Mallet Integrity Team Real Estate. Woo! What a fun time we've been having in real estate lately.
Oh, the craziness has come out. It's just been lots of fun. I think the hats we have to wear in real estate there's about 10 of them, and one of them is therapist.
Oh, I thought it was psychiatry, because I was going to go get some lithium. Is that what you give to people?
I spike their drinks with CBD. So hopefully they'll calm down.
You had a very, very busy weekend. You had one of those life momentous occasions this weekend.
I did. My oldest son, Colton, got married to a wonderful woman, Rebecca, and they had their wedding this weekend. I was over the moon the whole weekend. It was such a great time. The rehearsal dinner went really well. We had that at the Clay Pit downtown, which, if you've never been, is in a historic building with.
Have you ever been there before?
Mm-hmm.
I've eaten there a lot at lunch. Their buffet was really good.
Oh yeah, well, it was a great time. And as I was going through this weekend, you start to reflect on your life and some of the things that have happened, and you realize that at these events, all you want for your kids is for them to be happy in life. When you break it down, you want them to have a good job. You want them to have a home. But at the top of all that is you just want them to find happiness. And
it's secondary to just calling me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you hope that them calling you makes them happy. Yes.
Okay, I'll do it.
And then the other thing that happened with this was my youngest, Gracie, who was a real estate agent with us for a while. Now she's moved on to bigger and better things. But she put herself out there a little bit. She decorated the rehearsal dinner and she baked a cake for the rehearsal dinner. And I never knew she was so talented. I mean, I knew she had a little bit of talent. She's dabbled in art and stuff. But what she brought to that rehearsal dinner and set up, everybody was amazed. And she baked a beautiful, very yummy cake that was almost gone by the end of the night. I mean, it was really fun to see. When your kids start to step up like that and learn things about themselves, there's nothing better. But they got married Colton and Rebecca got married at the Wayback, which is on BK Road, which I'd never even heard of.
I had
before.
never heard of that before.
It's actually a cafe and coffee shop during the week.
Oh, is it?
But they do weddings on the weekend.
Oh,
So-
it looked very quaint. It looked very, very sweet.
Yeah.
I'm glad Colton is happy and a married
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Look at that. Is Rebecca changing her name to Mallet?
I believe so.
Oh.
She did say she's having a hard time getting used to Rebecca Mallet, but we'll see. She's awesome. She's a assistant district attorney in a county right outside of Lubbock.
I may need her number at some point.
Yeah,
I wonder if she'll defend me against her father-in-law.
Yeah. Well, a couple things that weddings have changed, and I don't go to a lot of weddings.
Oh, you
I think
think?
the last couple have been your
All
kids.
three of my kids when they.
Yeah. There was no cake cutting. They did the cake cutting in private for pictures. Yeah.
Oh.
I guess it's the new thing. Rather than having the whole pressure of jamming cake into each other's face and all the mess and chaos that goes with that, and plus you stop the party for a minute. They went off into a little room with the cake. It was a small cake, and they cut it with pictures and all that. We were the only couple people that brought actual presents to the wedding. Remember, you used to have a big table there and it would just get piled up with presents? Well, that doesn't happen anymore. I guess you ship the presents directly to
They
them.
have a registry and you just order it off the registry and it just gets
ship
shipped
it
to 'em.
direct to them. I don't know. I always kind of thought it was fun to see all those cool presents.
We had a big present table at our wedding when I was married 32 years ago. And after the wedding and the reception, we sat there and this is awful. I can't believe I'm saying this. We dug through just looking for the envelopes because we were going on our honeymoon the next day. So we needed the cash.
Give me the cash.
We were broke college students.
Yeah.
We were like, perfect.
Did you scrape together enough to go?
We did. We went to New Orleans and we
Worked
had a
out
great
fine.
time.
Yeah.
It cost $500 to go to New Orleans.
Oh, gosh, yeah. You probably went for a week. The other thing was they had this Polaroid camera, instant camera, and they had the sign-in book, which I'm used to the sign-in book, but you're supposed to take a Polaroid and then attach it into the book. And then, and so Holly and my dad and I had somebody take our Polaroid, and it cut half of Holly's face off and half of my dad's face off, so we didn't put it in the book. But you realize when you're at your kid's wedding, it's probably the second biggest moment in their life for you as the parent, besides their birth. I mean, their birth is the biggest thing. But I can't think of anything bigger than the day they find the person that they love. And
The day they become a parent.
Oh, well, I see. I haven't had that
Yeah,
yet.
the day they become a parent. That is pretty. There's some pretty momentous occasions that I've been through. I mean, like same thing with you. All of my kids getting married, my kids graduating, college. I remember, especially Tate when he became a rescue swimmer. That was like one of the highlights for him in particular. His white coat ceremony was really cool. Logan's about to get his master's. But I tell you what, when I saw my first grandbaby, that just
I could see
was
that.
paramount for everything else.
At the wedding, we were actually placing bets on how soon we'd be grandparents. So,
well, congratulations.
I wanted to say that. Congratulations to Colton and Rebecca Mallet. So I know they're going to be super happy. They're so compatible, and they obviously love each other. So, and then while I was doing all that, I avoided the craziness of Founders Day, but you did not.
My liver is still recovering because I party hopped around to some of the barbecue tents
and you can't
on Saturday.
Say
no, apparently I can't, and apparently I had a couple of fireball shots, and that was fun. But this was the 36th annual Founders Day. What an amazing time! I have never seen so many people. I ran into Anthony Hippolito. I said, "How many people?" He said about 85,000 people.
Crazy.
The security was tight this year, I guess, because of what happened in New Orleans. They had huge trucks and things blocking all of the entrances. Not only that, they had facial recognition. They had drones that were.
We saw the drones. They were up there
patrolling.
nonstop. Yeah, they were just flying right above Mercer Street the whole weekend.
Anthony told me that that they had already lost a couple of children and the drones had found them,
Wow.
which was really cool. But the parade was super neat. The theme was Viva Las Dripping. I saw so many little Elvises and Elvis impersonators. I saw this group of girls. They were all like under 10 years old, and they had these hot pink sparkly dresses on that said bridesmaids. So adorable. Just crazy. But there was some different things this year about Founders that I hadn't noticed. They had a beer garden this year, so it was right behind the beer tent, and it was all tables. Before, you would get there early on Saturday, you'd bring your chair, you'd scope your spot out.
Yeah.
Well, now they had all these tables and chairs, and they kind of cock-blocked the area where you couldn't, you couldn't put your.
You can say that on the air.
Yeah, you pretty much can. I can say anything, but it was kind of hijacked everything unless you sat at all these tables, but we adjusted. We had a great time. We hung out with the Hurlbits, which we always do on Founders. But yeah, there was apparently around 150, maybe a little bit more vendors that happened. But the Carnival, I did hear on Facebook, my friend Cedric over here, he was telling me he had to get his son for a line cutting also. There were kids that were cutting in line. It was kind of funny because Cedric was telling me this story that his son was in line. He got in trouble by another parent, I guess, because his friends cut in line. And because Cedric is the man he is, he went over there and he told his son to apologize to the people. And you know what the dad said? Not Cedric, the other dad. He goes, you know what? You don't have to apologize to me. You need to apologize to all the people in line behind me because your time is not more valuable than theirs. And I was like, good for him.
Yeah.
We need more parents like that. I also saw, we had Hal Elrod on episodes ago, and I saw his wife Ursula on Facebook, and she was complaining about people as well.
Cutting in line.
Well, not only that, but the sailor mouths on some of these teenagers, and if parents or adults are calling them out saying, hey, back of the line, buddy, they are flipping them off or cussing them out. Well, let me tell you, that kid would do that once to me, and I would get back in that kid's face. But
it used to be when I was growing up that everybody parented.
Everybody parented, yeah. So
not necessarily like, swat them on the butt, but if they were doing something out of line, another parent would say, hey, stop that. Don't do that. I'll go tell your mom and dad. Yeah, well, most of the kids would stop.
I saw a funny one. Okay, it's funny. This is a joke. Okay, I'm joking. It said, this is what happens when you stopped. They stopped being able to punch a kid in the face.
God, jeez.
I thought it was pretty funny. But yeah,
one of the funniest things you told me about is one of our good friends, her son. She gave him some money to go out and Founders Day and buy some stuff.
So
and he came back with this hat on that he was so proud of. How old is he? 10?
He's like 10 years old. And she goes, everybody, when you go to Founders and you have a little kid, usually you come home with a goldfish.
Yeah.
Right? He came home with a hat. He's 10. It says, I love boobies. And she was like, what?
I love boobies.
What carnival worker sells a 10-year-old an I love boobie hat? And it was like,
he was probably like selling it to him. Dude, look, you'll get all the chicks if you have this hat.
I think it's hilarious. I need to borrow the I love boobie hat. I'm going to wear it on the podcast one day. I love it. But, Dripping was founded in 1850. So this celebration plays homage to that. I do happen to agree with a couple of things. I do feel like the carnival should be moved to where the old elementary school is because those vendors and everybody are so jam-packed. I do not agree with moving it to Roger Hanks Parkway. I just think we need to kind of expand it. And I also feel like the city needs to do a better job of helping people. There are always going to be people crossing 12 and crossing 290. I am one of them. I play Frogger every year. I risk my life. I know.
We saw, because we did come and go a little bit during the wedding weekend, and I saw some people that I was like, dude, you're going to get run over.
I know, but I think that I saw the signage, slow down, slow down, slow down. And, when we leave Founders, we're always very careful. You just assume some little kid or an adult is going to walk out in front of you. But But yeah, I had a great time. It was a lot of fun. I ran into a lot of people. I had a girlfriend that came in from Arizona, and I introduced her. She said, within the last hour, Michelle has introduced me to the mayor, the county commissioner, and the sheriff. Like, is there anybody that Michelle doesn't know? It was like all within 1 hour.
Michelle knows everybody, and everybody knows
and
Michelle.
everybody knows Michelle, but we had a great time.
Yeah, I think it was another successful Founders Day, and it's hopefully many more to come. I know as big as it's gotten, I think they need to start thinking about not necessarily moving it, but changing it.
No,
somehow,
but you know what?
I think we've overgrown that.
And I think a little bit. And it was Kendall brought my grandbaby. So Navy, she was so good with the noise and everything else. She did so good. So it was her first Founders.
Wow, that's great. Well, last week we went to a presentation at a new subdivision called the Ranch at Calaterra, and we missed a presentation that the city of Dripping Springs did at the chamber because they both happened at the same time. But we haven't talked about this in a while. I wanted to run through some of the things that are happening in Dripping Springs that were presented at this development presentation that the city put on for the chamber last week.
Are we getting an Arby's?
It's not on the list.
Dang it.
Yeah. I think I'm getting a Wendy's. You can have a square hamburger.
We're getting a Wendy's?
No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I know. Ugh, I want an Arby's.
Yeah. So here's a couple things. The last 2 years, permits for new homes have fallen to the lowest that they've been since 2020.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, yeah, yes and no. In 2020, there were 863 permits, and 2021, 928. The last 2 years, we've averaged 450. So about half right now. So that's new home permits that were, these are actually COs that were issued, meaning certificates of occupancy.
Wait. Okay, a new home permit. Does that mean that does that mean it's ready to be moved in or
it's
the
approved
lot?
to be moved in? It's not necessarily sold. It's just that the city says, yep, that house is complete. You can sell it to somebody.
Okay.
I did a little bit of math, and right now on the books for developments coming to Dripping Springs, there are a total of 5,026 homes on the books that will be built at some point in the future. So these are approved lots. 5,026. Yeah, wow. That's what's coming.
No wonder we need a new school.
Yeah, I know. So the biggest ones, and I think they're all significant, but these are the ones that jumped out at me. Double L Ranch, which is north of the elementary school on Ranch Road 12.
Okay.
For those of you that have been here for a while, the mold school.
Yeah.
And Double L Ranch is 2,400 lots.
That's going to be like the size of Belterra?
It is the size of Belterra.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's on both sides of
They're going to do something
Ranch Road
with 12, man.
Yeah,
right?
it's going to have to be improved at some point. I mentioned the ranch at Calaterra. We went and looked at that. That's 234 lots, and at this point, they're expecting those lots will be in the 400,000 range. They're going to be very premium lots.
That was pretty.
It's very pretty. It's on the old H.C. Carter Ranch, which if you've ever been all the way down Creek Road, you go past the county building and you go all the way down, and as the road makes a 90-degree turn to the right, and Onion Creek is on your left. If you went straight across that dam, you would be on H.C. Carter's place, and that's where the ranch at Calaterra is.
Did you hear that they said that that ranch had entertained 4 presidents?
Yeah, I started thinking about that. That may be a good tagline, but I'm not sure that's true.
Well, for sure, LBJ.
LBJ
and
for
Carter.
Sure.
He said Carter was there.
Maybe one of the Bushes. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's a cool ranch house, so that's going in there. And then where we've had the Run by the Creek the last 12 years, across from the county building on Roger Hanks, there was a big empty lot, and it goes all the way down to about where Creek Road cuts into Roger Hanks. That is a subdivision called New Growth, which I don't think they're going to call that. That's what the development is called.
That sounds like you need to go get a doctor.
It sounds like something you need to have cut off your skin. Yeah, but that's going to be 245 lots. And what I've heard in the past is that's going to be rental homes, rental multi-million-dollar homes.
What?
So it'll be for somebody like me, a little older, maybe comes here to visit their grandkids, 6 or 8 months a year or whatever. And they just lock and leave, but very nice luxury homes.
But you can only rent them.
You can only rent them. So that may have changed, but that was the original concept. A couple other things that came out. There's a new tree ordinance. You can't cut down trees in Dripping Springs anymore that are 18 inches or bigger. You can only cut down heritage trees.
Size matters.
Yes. Yeah, okay. Yes. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you for clarifying as your 16-year-old self comes out. And if you remove any heritage trees because, they're in a or 18 inches or bigger, that you have to plant more trees. So I think that's kind of cool because those kind of clear-cut subdivisions, we're not going to have those anymore. We're going to have more neighborhood types. You go into Austin, some of those more established neighborhoods with the big trees lining the road, that we're going to have more of that feel. I applaud that. The sewer lawsuit got settled.
Yes.
So I think you're going to see a lot of these 5,000 lots starting to be improved very shortly because now the city will have the sewer capacity to sell.
That's a lot of homes, a lot of people.
It is, I know. And we're
the bigger
already
HEB
struggling.
better hurry up. But
yeah, and then the last thing I'll say is new businesses that are coming. They listed a whole bunch. Some of those have
some of them
been
already here. Yeah.
Yeah, Short Mamas, which we've talked about, is passed. Is going to be an upscale restaurant
owned by the Salt Lake people.
No, Roxy's. Roxy's
it's across
is where
the street.
the old rental place. Short Mamas is a 2-story white.
Yeah, but
I
thought it was. Building. I thought that's where it was going to be.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
No, Roxy's is where the rental place used to be, and that is the people that own Salt Lake. Okay. And then Slice Street Pizza. Those businesses are coming, and a lot of the other ones.
Slice Street Pizza is already here. He's right here.
Oh, you're right. It's right across the parking lot.
Yeah, that's Darius.
Jeez. I was thinking it was something else. Oh, there you go. So, segue to your story. Messed that up.
No. No Arby's. Highly disappointed. But
I will let the mayor know.
Yeah, please do. So I'm going to be at the airport. No, I won't be at the airport. I'm sorry. I'm going to be in the Dallas airport on Thursday morning, flying to Chicago. But at the airport here in Austin, there is a new outdoor patio. It actually used to be one of those premium credit card places that you could only use your premium credit card to go. It's on the east end of the airport. It was once restricted to only the Chase Sapphire Reserve members. But people, it's kind of funny. It's really pretty. It's outside. They've got tables. And they've got these
watch the planes
trees
coming and going.
Yeah, people complained about the jet fuel smell.
Oh God, jeez.
And the 100-degree heat coming off of the runway.
It's an airport, folks.
Yeah, it's almost 4,000 square feet. This terrace. It originally opened in 2019 as the airport's only outdoor space beyond TSA. If you're like me, you don't know where the east end of the airport is. It's by Gate 1. So go to Gate 1.
I think that is you walk in the terminal and turn left and go as far as you can.
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, maybe.
I think so.
Maybe. Okay, well, I'll have to go. I'll be there next month. I'll be there next month. I'll give an update on that.
Go as far left as you can. And when you get to the end, just keep on going.
Well, nothing
past the airplanes, past the runways,
past the
taxiways,
past the Annie's pretzels, but nothing like roasting near the tarmac with no shade that is out there. And people were complaining online about. Okay, so look. The TSA lines are still ridiculous right now because of all of the updates that they're doing at the airport. There's going to be no smoking, no vaping allowed outside, which I'm grateful for.
I agree with that.
But people were saying, why can't we have like a plunge pool? Come on, like if you're in Austin, have something quirky out there. One of those cowboy pools or something.
So you can jump in there and get on your airplane all soaking wet. Yeah, because that sounds fun.
Why not? I mean, have you sat next to people that are sweaty that probably could have used a plunge pool and smell?
That's true. Yeah, and who's going to get in that plunge pool after that guy got in there?
No, but I would encourage them. I would encourage them to get in there.
Change that water every 10 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. But I don't know. I like quirky places. I'm trying to think. Well, the Oregon airport is really cool. The Portland, Oregon. Where did we go? It's somewhere in California. We stopped, and they actually had. I can't remember the name of the airport, is totally escaping me, but they actually had a beach mock-up there in between some of the gates, and it was really nice. We sat out there.
If that's LA.
No, it was whatever that little air. Oh, it's like sounds Hollywood type, but
Well, it used to be John Wayne.
no, it's right outside of LA.
Ontario.
It's if you're not flying into LA, you're flying into this
It
one.
used to be Ontario.
It's I don't know. Anyways.
Anyway, well, when Holly and I flew into Phoenix to go to the Grand Canyon a week ago, I told her we were walking around because the Phoenix airport, there's nothing spectacular about it. And I told her if I ever, not that I ever would, but if I was an airport designer, I'd want to design airports that when people went through them, they would go, wow, this is a cool airport, and then remember it. I know that's a hard thing to do, but all airports kind of look alike after a while. And Austin,
I've been to some cool little airports.
Austin has a couple of things. Yeah, you were looking at LAX.
I was looking at which one it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Long Beach Airport.
Long Beach
That's
Airport.
what it was.
Yeah,
okay, Long Beach Airport.
I think Long Beach Airport used to be John Wayne.
I don't know.
Which I flew into that in a single-engine Cessna once.
Ooh,
Scared me to
you're
death
so
because I
bougie.
landed next to a 737 on the runway next to me, and I thought, what the hell am I doing?
You are so bougie.
Yeah,
but
see, you just have no idea, Michelle.
I do. Todd is also one of the ones when you travel with Todd, you have to get to the airport like 7 hours before your flight takes off. And so I have a lot of time to explore the airport. I have been in some airports before. The Atlanta airport. Oh my gosh, it's like an entire city. But Dallas, it's one of those ones where you just walk for days and days and days.
You get your steps in when you fly in Dallas.
Yeah.
And Chicago's like that too.
Well,
you're going to find out.
Yeah, I don't know which airport we're flying into. I think we're flying into Midway. I think that's where we're flying,
Midway's
not
a big
O'Hara.
airport,
yeah. So
I think Midway is the one where the airplanes go across a tunnel. There's like a freeway that goes into the airport, and the airplanes they actually taxi across the runway.
I don't know.
Across the tunnel.
I'm excited. I love Chicago. Chicago's one of my favorite big metropolitan cities. It's really, really cool. But I'm going there. Navy and I are going to explore.
A nanny.
So I'm the nanny.
So bring me back something cool.
I will. I'll bring you back something.
All right, we need to take a little break and get Sheri Soltes from Service Dogs Inc. in here. So I'm excited about this one. So hang on, sit tight. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of being left in the dark when the power goes out? Say goodbye to blackouts with Nomic Power Solutions.
As your full-service Generac dealer, they offer individually designed backup power solutions.
From start to finish, they've got you covered.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Call or text 512-387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Nomic Power Solutions. Protect your home, protect your family, stay ready. Southstar Bank has remained true to its Texas roots for over 100 years. A commitment to the people and communities they serve, along with flexible financial solutions, allow their clients to shine. Mortgage loans, checking accounts, or complete business solutions. Southstar Bank is your financial partner. Southstar Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, built for Texas.
SouthstarBank.com. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. NMLS 410624. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. This vibrant 55 and up community is located in Dripping Springs, just right outside of Austin. 1- and 2-bedroom homes, resort-style amenities, and just steps away from shops and restaurants. Forget the yard work. This is your time to relax, make new friends, and enjoy the life you've dreamed of. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. Live JoviBelterra.com. 737-387-6870.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com. And now here's Steve and Michelle.
And we're back with Sheri Soltes of Service Dogs Inc. Welcome to the show.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. I love your podcast, and it's an honor to get to be one of your guests.
Well, we're happy to have you. So we always start the show off with, how did you end up, do you live in Dripping?
I live 30 minutes from here in Southwest Austin.
How'd you end up in Central Texas then?
Well, when I started this organization nearly 40 years ago, we had trainers all over the state. We finally decided we needed to get everything under one roof so all the trainers would be consistent with the training. And after doing a statewide search, Dripping Springs was head and shoulders above all the other communities, which is why we built our first training center here.
Oh, I didn't know that. It's right here in Dripping.
Yes.
Where's it located?
It is on Bell Springs Road, kind of partway between Dripping Springs Vodka and Bell Springs Winery. So we're just a mile off of 290 on Bell
in
Springs.
Dripping knows where everything is, halfway between this brewery and that winery. And,
It's also a female directional tactic. If you tell me anything east, I'm like, I'm lost. I'm lost.
true.
Just give me the Valero in the car wash. I know exactly where it is. So you were an attorney in your former life.
Yeah, I was a trial lawyer, and I used to say law schools for people who without the math or science skills to get into medical school. So I was a lawyer for about 8 years in Houston and did the Lord's work. But my stomach was starting to hurt because they always threw me in the deep end. So I started sort of trying to think of what would be a better way for me to pursue a career. Mm-hmm. And this was before the internet. So eventually I found a magazine article about service dogs. And at the very end, it said some of the groups use shelter animals, and I like rescuing everything. So that was what drew me to start this.
Had you always been into animals before that?
Yes. We moved around a lot. So a lot of times my little best friend was our family cat. And because when you're a new kid at school, it's a little bit awkward. So I really understood how animals can reach into your heart sometimes where nobody else can.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Was there like a pivotal moment when you were practicing law that you said, maybe this isn't for me, that I'm going to go pursue something else? Was it a case or was it just something that...
Besides the ulcer?
The ulcer,
I was a very good trial lawyer. I should have lost all the cases because they gave me all the bad cases because I was a baby lawyer. The second trial, I said, you said you were going to help me on this, because they said, okay, you're going to meet the client tomorrow at 8, trial's at 9.
Oh, God.
And I said, you said you're going to help me with this. And he goes, it doesn't take two of us to go lose it.
Oh,
I know.
Goodness.
So I won that one too because I was sincere. But the pivotal moment was in the bathroom at the courthouse because my stomach hurt and I was staring at my beige pumps on the beige linoleum, doubled over, going, I'm going to miss this hearing. And maybe there's another way to go forward through life, much to my parents' disappointment at the time.
After all that money on the law degree.
I'm going to go play with puppies all day.
And so did you start Service Dogs Inc. right away? That was the very first thing you did when you got into this?
Yeah, I did it. I practiced law for 3 more years getting into it, and I switched full time. But I read up on it. No internet back then in the late 80s. So we started off just training hearing dogs that help deaf people.
I saw that.
No one was doing it at this part of the country. It was either California or Massachusetts, and all their dogs bark funny. So we started doing it in the Southwest. And little by little, we'd train a dog, get in the newspaper, get donations, then train 2 dogs. And every time we added a training program, it was because someone came to us and said, I need a service dog. I'm in a wheelchair. Can you do that? And I said, well, let's try it. And then it was the courthouse dogs that help the children when they're testifying about trauma.
That's really cool.
Thank you. And then we had a first responder, a fire chief, come to us at a conference, Texas Medical Association, and said, first responders' rate of suicide is climbing to that of veterans, which was 7 a week. Can you help us? And I said, well, let's figure it out. So now we have these great 4 training programs, and we've been doing this nearly 40 years. And last year, 100% of the dogs went all the way through training. And these are all shelter dogs. So this is the typical groups that breed have 30% and are thrilled if they get 50%. And it's really a lot of hard work and community support that got us here.
I want you to walk me through when you're going into a shelter for the first time and what you are looking for in an animal. I mean, are all animals trainable, or are there some that you're really going to say, okay, well, not at this time?
Well, A, they are all trainable. B, I'm not allowed to go anymore because my criteria is they look sad, which is why I have 11 cats and whatever's living in the attic at home.
Geez.
But what the training department does is they're looking for a dog that's around 1.5 years because that's where you can do the hip X-ray to make sure their hips are healthy at 18 months, just like with a baby. You don't know if they're going to need braces till they're a little bit older. Then we want a dog that's not aggressive, but not super scared. Those dogs can all work in certain situations, but not for what we're doing, which includes working in public. So a confident dog We'll take it out to a yard, let it off leash, and we want to see, is it people oriented? Will it come and hang out with you versus the pee-pee tennis ball in the corner on the wet grass?
Right.
Who's winning the personality contest? You or the tennis ball? And then if it's going to be a hearing dog, we might set off a little timer and see if it's interested in the sound versus afraid of it, ignoring it, or attacking it. If it's going to be a service dog for someone in a wheelchair, where it does a lot of retrieving, we might throw a toy and see if it wants to fetch it. And then, see if it knows some stuff, but we'll teach it all of those things. So basically it's like, kind of like you say about your coworkers, if you can do the job, we don't care who your parents are. So most of our dogs are mixed breed dogs, and they may be mixes of mixes, but they're all American dogs.
I say that to Michelle all the time.
He calls me a mutt. Yeah, he calls me a mutt.
So the 4 different programs you have, run through those for us real quick.
All right. I like to say we're the cousins to guide dogs. Basically, we're training for other kinds of disabilities, but the person that has the disability can take the dog into public just like someone with a guide dog. So the hearing dogs are medium dogs, like a Cocker Spaniel Terrier type. And if you're deaf, they will come get your attention by nudging you. And then you say, what is it? And then the dog will take you to the sound. Oh. So if you're a mother with a child or a baby, they'll take you to the child crying or calling your name, oven timer, knock at the door, your phone ringing or whatever ringtone you have. If it's a smoke alarm, they'll spin. So you don't want to go into a fire to the smoke alarm. So they'll spin and it's an emergency.
Okay.
And people find that when they're walking outdoors, their dog will whip their head around if there's a sound. So you can be aware of, there's someone on a bicycle. Or one of our deaf clients who used to teach at Texas School for the Deaf said, when I go outside, my dog looks up and I see the birds in the trees. Or I see a man hammering on a ladder. And so you're a lot safer. The service dogs for folks with mobility issues, they do a lot of retrieving. They can do things based on tug, like opening a door, opening a refrigerator and getting you a non-alcoholic beverage, tugging off your socks or your jacket. If you want to transfer, you can brace on the dog, or if you fall, and we'll custom train them. They can push a button like the buttons that open automatic doors.
Okay.
And they tend to be more of a Labrador Golden Retriever size.
I like that you have on your website, you have sort of the general sizes of the dogs that correspond with the programs.
Right. And then we have 2 types of facility dogs, and they work for the staff of an agency versus a one-on-one. The courthouse facility dogs typically work with the district attorney's office. So when children have to have interviews about bad things that happen to them, they can have the dog with them and they open up more. They can also be on the witness stand if the judge says it's okay. So we train them on a mock witness stand because they don't want the jury to know the dog is there. And pardon me, they have found that you get a higher rate of convictions with the dog because the child will give more details and open up more. And we're just about to finish one for the Kendall County DA's office, which is Bernie. Their sheriff's department has our next kind of dog, first responder facility dogs, and they support firefighters, law enforcement, paramedics, hospital staff, and they're paired with somebody with counseling background. So we have several at Methodist Healthcare System in San Antonio, which is 10,000 employees. And when they had the mass shooting at the Walmart in El Paso, they went there and supported the first responders there. Uvalde, Allen, places like that. So
that's amazing.
Lots of uses for these.
All of these animals that you provide for the recipients, they are all free. You train these; they're all free of charge. The recipients, and you also have free lifetime follow up. So, what exactly does that mean? Do they have to go back periodically for training, or?
Well, we do it for free because it's just easier, less math, and the community embraces that, which I appreciate. We are accredited by a global accrediting organization called Assistance Dogs International, and their goal was to keep the standards high, to keep the government out of it. And I've been on the boards at various levels of that and on different little legislative committee. So we use their standards and certify the dog at the end of training, but every year we go back and certify it again. And we also are there to answer questions like somebody may say, we're having our first baby and we're deaf. Can you teach the dog to alert to the baby? Or we're going to take our first airplane ride. Can you help us with that? Or whatever. We're going on a cruise. Yeah. How's that going to work? Or things like, oh, the dog's not alerting me to the phone anymore. Usually it's in the olden days, it was because the teenager didn't want the parents to know the phone was ringing and they wouldn't let the dog get the phone. So sometimes you have to get into the family dynamics, but we're always there. And sometimes the dogs get sick and they need advice or whatever it is. So we do maintain lifetime follow-up, completely free of charge, although the client has to take care of the upkeep of the dog, like dog food and annual vet exam.
Yes.
Sure. Do you actually train the dogs?
I used to train the dogs in the 90s. I was the assistant trainer. So when we would do the smoke alarm, I was the one in the closet making the smoke alarm beep and having my ear covered with the other one. So I've trained a little bit, but now we have about 5 or 6 trainers on the staff and about 15 animal care staff that when the dogs are not in a training session, they're having enrichment. They're being entertained so they're not getting stir crazy, which is the key to these dogs not being washed out of the program because they're not getting kennel stress.
Oh.
If you're only training part-time and then you're just sitting in a room the rest of the time, you get restless. So we have all kinds of things we do that keep the dogs entertained and engaged so they're happy and have a great quality of life with us.
When you were training in the 90s, like you said, there's no internet, there's no YouTube. How did you learn even the basics of training these dogs for this type of program?
I went to our conferences, but something that was really helpful, I watched a TV program when I was in Kansas overnight or at a service dog place there. And there was a show called Mack and Muttley that was comparing dog training to dolphin training and how a lot of the techniques they were using for dolphins could be used for dogs for positive training. And I had the light bulb go off and I thought SeaWorld of San Antonio is down the road. So I barged in there and made them be my friends and they mentored us a lot back in the 90s. So we learned a lot at the time from the way they were training. Dogs are resilient, so even bad trainers can get a dog to work. But when you're training an animal that can kill you or hurt you, you may want to navigate that differently. Or a very fragile animal like a bird. Like if you train a bird and you're rough with it, you need to get a new bird because you've hurt that bird or killed it. So these guys were training killer whales with things like food deprivation and all the old stuff. Like, see this pail of fish? You're not getting any. And then when they got in the tank with the whale, they would get pinned to the bottom of the tank or bonked by the whale, often resulting in a broken rib. And they would lay in the hospital bed thinking, maybe we should try being nice to them. So they developed the training, which is based on science, operant conditioning, B.F. Skinner. So basically you emphasize what they're doing right. If they're doing something you don't like, instead of manhandling them, you give them something else to do that they can't do at the same time. Like people often go, how do you get your dog not to jump on you? And the old school was knee them in the chest. You're the alpha dog, blah, blah, blah. Well, why don't you really emphasize laying down, because dogs lay down all the time anyway. So notice when they do and toss them a piece of kibble or whatever you happen to have at hand. They will start laying down all the time anyway, because you are a human Pez machine and it pays off. Right when you can bet $5 they're about to lay down, put the cue in there, down, which could be anything, and they're going to put it all together. And so if they're about to jump on you, you say down, and they can't jump and lay down at the same time. So anything your dog or child is doing that you don't like, give them something physically incompatible to do, and they'll get rewarded for that instead.
That's cool.
Sheri, what do you wish that a layperson would know when being around a service dog or even approaching a service dog? Because, I mean, Texas is a very dog-friendly state, and especially here in the Austin area, there's dogs everywhere. There's dogs in restaurants, there's dogs at the malls. And so, inclination is like, ooh, puppy, to go up to it. So what do you wish somebody like that would know when approaching something?
Michelle, that's a genius question. Thank you. The most important thing to know when you see somebody with a service dog or a working dog is to ask, may I pet your dog? We turned it into a training protocol, so we show our clients what to do and how to instruct the person. But always ask, may I pet your dog? If there's a person with a disability and a person who's not, ask the person with whoever's holding the leash. And then if they say no, fine. If they say yes, they may tell you, let me put him in a sit first. And if he pops up, stop petting him. So our dogs learn if they want attention, self-control, sit. And then usually we'll say, thank you, which is the cue to stop petting, or I hand them a brochure and then they run away. Or I say, we take donations online. And then I'm like, where are you going, Jehovah's Witness? So, yeah. But the key thing is, and really you should do this with anybody who has a dog. And I see a lot of people, even yesterday, somewhere normal, where their dog is pulling them towards another dog and they're letting them, the two dogs interact. And the second person, their dog may be afraid of dogs. Their dog may be feeling threatened. So even before he just wants to say hi, ask, is it okay if my dog says hi? Because you're going to keep your dog safer that way too.
Oh yeah. Well, we were training to go to this rim to rim to rim in the Grand Canyon. Our listeners that have listened to the previous episodes know what I'm talking about. But we were training on the Barton Greenbelt, and there was 4 or 5 of us, and we were all running up and down the Greenbelt. And somebody would come by with a dog, and my wife would always go, "Hey, puppy!" And then she would see people, and she'd go, "Oh, hey, people too." Just like she wants to pet all the dogs, but she's aware enough at least to know. You were talking about when you go into to see the dogs, that you have a process for picking out dogs that you think could be good candidates. Do you have a similar process for the people that you give dogs to? How do you figure out who will really benefit from the dogs?
Teach me your ways on how to train
Insightful.
people. Yeah.
It's organisms vary, but behavior is behavior, no matter what the organism. So works on our species too. We have a pretty straightforward application process. We have an online application. Then we have an applicant orientation day, which is now half a day because we were like, let's cut out all the boring stuff. Okay, now it's half a day. And we want the clients to have a reality check so they don't think the dog's a Disney dog, where they know, okay, it's a trained service dog, but if you leave your sandwich out for 30 minutes on the coffee table, he might swipe it. Or your hearing aids, stinky stuff, dogs like to chew on that. And we do a practice training session with the dogs, and we do a one-on-one interview. And after that, we can let them know if they're accepted. And most of the time they are. Then a little further into it, once you're on the waiting list, we'll have matching. We'll have you come back to the training center, and we'll introduce you to maybe 3 or 4 or 5 dogs and see who's the best fit. And then we'll add custom behaviors that you want for the dog, which a lot of places, we're not the Walmart of service dogs. We're not a conveyor belt. We're going to be artisan, time and dough of service dogs. And then we have a 5-day training course here. Then we also differ because we move the dog in, and we come to you once a week for 3 to 4 months and train you and the dog in your home, your workplace, your community, wherever you and the dog are going to go together. So our clients become very fluent in dog behavior and become problem solvers. And sometimes they even invent behaviors that we start training for other people, like how to help you do your laundry. A client figured that out, and we do that for a lot of the dogs now. People want it.
Huh. And so have you had anybody that has had a very successful service dog, but they've taught them some things that you've had to untrain?
Not really. The thing that we usually have to do is emphasize, don't change up the equipment. We don't want to use pink leashes because we want the dogs to sort of have a uniform where it's orange and black. Okay. They haven't ever done a behavior that was, something that would help them that we objected to, as long as it's safe for the dog to do. We don't do anything where the dog's bearing the load of the person. They're not substituting for a cane. They can help steady you with counterbalance, but they're not. We did that once and found it was a little too tough on the dog skeletally, so we just quit doing that after we saw it wasn't great for the dog.
I want to know what your feelings are right now on this whole trend of younger. I'm seeing a lot of the younger people using it towards the emotional support animal versus like the actual service animal.
Oh, that's a good question.
And they're getting. It's almost to allow them to get into apartments with their dogs for free, or allowing them to bring their animals on to fly free for them on the airlines. What are your feelings about that? And do you think that we should have some sort of actual national registry to where they're presenting papers?
Well, I know a lot about that, so it's not even about feelings, but because when I chaired the Legislative Committee for Assistance Dogs International North America, we worked with the airline industry and our friends at the Department of Transportation for 4 years, regulating which animals could fly on airplanes in the cabin. And at that point, emotional support animals were included, and now they're not. because that's when you hear about the pigs on the plane and
A parrot.
the parrots, the little flying squirrels, and those guys. So the definition of emotional support animal can be any kind of animal species. So it could be anything. By definition, they do not have to have training. So full stop there. So you're stressing out the animal, even if to take it in a hectic place like an airport. So the Fair Housing Act does allow an emotional support animal to live with you in housing. And that was started years ago by big animal shelter networks to just get people to adopt cats and stuff. So if you're going to keep it in your house, it's basically a pet for somebody with maybe an emotional or mental disability that helps with that. But the Americans with Disabilities Act, which is the one that lets you take a service dog with you in public, does not include an emotional support animal. And its sister act, the Air Care Access Act, which is the plain sister of the ADA, is both of them define a service dog as it has to do at least one task that mitigates the disability. Okay. One of our trainers said, if a teddy bear can do it, it's not a service dog, which is a nice way to remember it. They did add on the airline stuff what's called a psychiatric service dog. So that would be like for somebody with post-traumatic stress.
Or PTSD or
but
veterans.
They do more than just being comforting by their presence. They're going to do nightmare interruption. Or if you don't like walking into a dark room, they'll go turn the light on for you. Or they may position themselves between you and other people in a crowd so you don't feel overwhelmed. But the main thing is task training. And if the dog is being really unruly, even if it's a legit service dog, if it's having a bad day, the business can ask you to take it out.
What are the legal questions that a business is allowed to ask when someone comes in with a service dog?
Are y'all closet lawyers and just don't want to tell people?
I just play one on a podcast.
There's two things you can ask, only two. Is that a service dog, and what tasks does it do for you? The end. No paperwork is required. You don't have to say what your disability is. You don't have to hop on one foot and show them what it is. You don't have to do a training demo. Is that a service dog? What tasks does it do? The airlines now have a form you fill out when you make your registration that if you lie on it, it's like a federal felony. It's a fraud. And so you have to attest that it's had training and put who trained it and that it's healthy, it doesn't have fleas or whatever, and put its rabies vaccine expiration date.
Kind of like when you fly, you have to make sure that you have your
make sure all my shots are up to date.
Date of neuter, whatever.
Please, Sheri. Wow,
Sherry's
you two are going to be
friend.
best friends. Jeez, I get enough of that crap during the day from Michelle.
How you must suffer.
Yeah,
I know.
I do. Trust me. Now I completely forgot my question.
He's totally. Okay, I have a question for you.
You better go.
Okay, so one of the deep dives that I did on you is I found that you held, or you may hold more now, 11 Guinness Book World Records. And this was at the Mighty Dog Walk, and a couple of them were like the most dog walk, the biggest cake for dogs, the biggest coloring book, the biggest fur ball. That sounds really cool. What I want to know is the logistics of how do you get Guinness Book of World Records involved in something like that?
It's a lot of fun. Our big fundraiser is the Mighty Texas Dog Walk, which we've had the last 4 years at Camp Mabry, but we've been doing it 25 years. And instead of just having a same old charity dog walk, we wanted to give some Texas bragging rights. So we would do a Guinness World Record attempt every year. And I could use suggestions for this year because I haven't thought of one, but we beat Canada for most dogs walked. We beat England a couple of years ago for biggest dog bowl. Sponsored by Purina.
Oh, wow.
We beat Ireland for biggest cake. Theirs was measured in the metric system, so we have no way of deciphering it, but we're told ours was heavier.
So it's just a great big cake?
Is it a dog cake?
Or is it a dog cake?
Yes, it was built by the Austin Pastry Guild, shaped like a dog bone, which is actually easy. It's a big rectangle with 4 circles at each corner with a teeny bit cut out. It was made from canned dog food and soaked dry dog food, frosted with instant mashed potatoes. Our crew did not know that, so they were nibbling on it at the end, and they kept saying, this seems more savory than we thought it was going to be. And my favorite, I made this one up, biggest fur ball. We commissioned a giant lucite globe, like a snow globe. Everybody brushed their dog and put the fur in, and we weighed it on a portable veterinary scale. And we got it 2 times in a row. The second time was 315 pounds of dog hair. And that's unchallenged.
You could do the same with me because he finds
Yes.
my hair all over the office.
What did you do with the hair? You got 315 pounds of hair. What did you do with it after that?
This being Austin, the first year an artist took it and was going to make textiles out of it, but we never saw him again. So he may have suffocated under it.
Just a
And
weird
I'd like to say
fetish.
ethically, I'm sure there was no cat hair in there,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So did you have to contact somebody from the Guinness Book of World Records to come certify it?
Well, they charge $14,000. I'm kind of sick of Guinness. I'm over them, but so we document it in excruciating detail and send it to them. So we videoed ourselves weighing the globe empty, and then we videoed this veterinary scale with the 315 pounds and them putting the fur ball on it and the furrosphere actually. And we sent them the documentation.
So wait, they charge you to be...
They charge even more now than they used to.
That is, I never knew that.
They're
That's a little
annoying.
scam.
Oh yeah, it's like 14,000.
Where does the money go? Like they just...
I guess Guinness beer. What else?
I guess.
I don't think
So
that-
now
I don't think
I
that's
just
the
sort
same
of,
company.
as we used to say in law, and I'm as honest as I know how to be, and we just keep going with it.
Yeah.
We also beat China for world's biggest coloring book, which we documented excruciatingly. Never heard back for them. I'm like, close enough.
Yeah, that's right. You can put it on the
Bragging
website.
rights. You're right. That's the
So
bragging
now
rights.
you have a training facility right here in Dripping Springs. And are you doing everything there at that training facility?
We do everything there. We have 6 acres. We bought the property in 2004 and paid it off 6 months later.
Oh, wow.
A great couple sold it to us. We just finished our 3rd kennel building, which was actually donated by a great company, CC Carlton Industries. And it's for the new dogs, so they're in quarantine for 2 weeks. So we filled it up 2 weeks later. And we do all the training here until we move the dog into the client's home.
Oh, well, that's pretty fascinating. Now we're going to go get you a dog for sure. I wanted to know.
I think you need a service dog. You need somebody to help you do all this paperwork.
Steve,
You
I'm
have a
your
paperwork
service dog.
dog?
I always tell
Paperwork
people that
service dog?
I'm Steve's emotional support animal.
true.
I've always
It's
how is this mission that you started? How has it evolved now to where it is today from when you first started? Is it just like blown all of your dreams out of the water?
It's exciting. We last year tripled the training staff, and we had, for us, 19 dogs was a lot. Our goal was 12. So my favorite 2 days are when we bring dogs back from a shelter, and then when we match a client with the dog. And every client thinks they have the smartest, most beautiful dog, and they're right. So I just did a video yesterday comparing the dogs when they hop out of the van, and you can see their ribs and their coats are dusty and they're very shut down to, they're learning to walk next to a wheelchair and they're happy. And we put the vest on them and they seem proud. It's been a joint effort with the community. The community's embraced us. And like I said, every time we added a training program, it's because somebody asked us. And I said, well, let's figure out how to do that. And it's kind of like letting something bigger than you guide you. And you just, like RuPaul says, the universe gives you stage cues, listen to them. Or you could say divine guidance. And it's just been a pleasure. And I have no ego being a cat person. So when I have trainers or clients or donors that have suggestions, I try to listen to them. And if it's a great idea, let's do it.
I love that you say you're a cat person, but your whole
Your whole thing is dogs.
persona is
So-
the
Yes,
dogs.
I would like to say meow to my listeners out there who
Meow
are
that
feline,
way.
So
who are
you're
ignoring me.
all of this is all paid for with charity events and donors. Is that right?
Right. It's the one dog walk. We're having a morning spin next week in Austin, which apparently is people dancing at a coffee shop in the morning.
Okay.
It's a different demographic than we usually have, so I'm excited about that. But yes, it is 100% donations. People fall in love with what we do. They like the fact that we're using dogs other people throw away. They like the fact that a lot of our dogs are going to veterans and first responders, whether it's an individual with a disability or a whole staff. And those first responders are the ones that keep us safe. So, helping them is just a way to, A, do something for them, and B, to make sure we're safe when we really need something.
If somebody wants to donate, there's right there on the website, donate button right there. They can donate.
Donate right there. What do you think your biggest challenge is about running this service organization? Is it the fundraising, the training, the facility, just running the facility, or what about your personal life?
Well, the biggest work one is just meeting the demand, because especially these first responder agencies, we're going to be probably speaking they've asked us to at the Sheriff's Association of Texas convention in July. So the first responders network very heavily. So a lot of them are wanting to get the dogs, and a lot of individuals do too. So meeting the demand, it costs us about $50,000 to do all the training and do that 10 years or more of follow-up.
For one dog.
Right.
Okay.
That's pretty average in the industry and lower than a lot. So the fundraising is always yours, good as your last donation. So we can get a great donation, but then it gets used and we need to keep filling that well up again. So that's the big challenge. The personal stuff, it's almost two sides of the same coin. It's very fulfilling, but then it can be consuming too. Mm-hmm. So I've had to try to do other things I've learned over doing this nearly 40 years, it's mental health. Keep yourself healthy. If you don't exactly know where the next big donation is going to come from, have some faith and it will. And keep yourself healthy and treat the colleagues that you have with a lot of respect and support. Yeah. And sometimes somebody said that our COO, who's our director of training, will say, can we give this trainer a raise? Can we give this animal care person a raise? And investing in the staff is very important. Yeah. So I always try to say yes to that.
Take care of the people that take care of you.
Right.
Most definitely. And you also mentioned right before we went on air that you're going to go to Italy here. And next month, I think?
In a week from today, my birthday's coming up. And instead of trying to organize dinner, I thought I'd do something different. So I'm going to have a solo trip to Italy. And Italian's not like Spanish. It's more like French. So I'll be using Google Translate a lot.
I'm sure you will. Yeah. Michelle's gone to Italy and she loved it.
It was amazing.
That's encouraging.
Everybody spoke English there. So
That's what I hear.
It was great.
Yeah.
It was great.
What's your vision for this, say 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road? What do you see this becoming?
I'd like anybody in Texas who wants a dog to get it in less than a year, maybe 6 months. So whatever we can do to keep the quality up. But these people, this isn't a piece of technology, just like a wheelchair or a hearing aid. And when people lose their dog after 15 years or so, they really are bereft because
sure.
I have a deaf woman right now who said, I can't sleep anymore because I don't know if the smoke alarm is going off or someone's trying to get in the house because now I don't have a hearing dog. So I really, really want to get the next one. They know what they're missing.
Sure.
So if we can get the dogs sooner, which is increasing capacity, that'll help me sleep easier and people kind of live their best lives together and save more animals too.
Yeah. Are you thinking about maybe opening other branches around the country?
We've talked about opening a satellite campus closer to downtown Austin and the airport because dripping is lovely, but we don't have the urban settings to train. And sometimes the clients live in a place where there's lots of traffic
sure.
or they're going to the airport and we need to be able to get there without it taking all day. I'm not that interested in opening up in other parts of the country. I think Texas is big enough for us. And
sure.
there are a lot of other groups that do this. Everyone does it a little bit differently, but I'd rather focus on Texas.
Yeah. Okay. And in your bio, you mentioned one of the things that keeps you up at night is animal cruelty. Tell me about that.
Well, I was thinking about on the way over here, and Robert Louis Stevenson, who wrote Treasure Island and all that.
Island,
he said the cardinal sin is not sex, it's cruelty. So that's what gets to me. So I try to do what I can within my life to kind of assuage that as much as possible. The way we train is positive. We don't do anything mean to the dogs. I try to use cruelty-free makeup and cleaning products and hint, hair color, things like that. I try to eat in a way that's very respectful of animals. And you can't preach to other people. I'm also reading this new book, Let Them, where if someone's going to do
We were
something,
just talking about that, yeah.
Let them. But you can set an example. And I think eating this way, I never get sick. I'm healthy. I've started a new badass exercise program, Legree, which is a killer. And I feel great. So sometimes people say when animals are slaughtered, these different chemicals go off that are a lot of fear infusion, and you're consuming that. So I'm a big fan of, I like my animals alive and happy.
Yeah. So you're a vegetarian.
Yeah. And pretty much vegan too.
Oh, you are? Okay. So
but not insufferable.
So you got me going here. So how do you get enough protein?
His wife is vegetarian.
She's vegetarian, but she'll do some dairy and eggs. And I still struggle to get her enough protein.
Oh, well, there's nuts.
Yeah.
Legumes, like the peanuts, like we learned on Third Rock from the Sun. It's not a nut, it's a legume. There are beans. There's tofu. You shouldn't have too much of it.
Yeah.
Things like that. And the nice thing is now with YouTube, you don't have to be this stark Spartan that's just austere and annoys everybody. You just look up vegan or vegetarian style recipes.
Yeah.
Like if you have a favorite dish, look up a vegetarian version of lasagna, and there's 1,000 YouTubers that are going to tell you how to do it. And if you don't like one recipe, go to the next one.
Yeah.
I don't like every vegan recipe, nor do I like every vegan.
Yeah. Well, I like that you said, be an example. I do know some vegans that if you'll meet them, you'll be shaking their hand. They're like, hi, I'm Bob. I'm a vegan. It's like, that's their whole identity. Right. I think you lead by example. You show you're healthy, you're happy, your diet works for you. That might encourage other people.
I can do two kinds of headstands.
Yeah. See? Yeah.
And instead, Steve's like, hi, I'm Steve. I'm a runner.
Oh, shut up.
See, I wanted to ask you, what is the one piece of advice that you could give to somebody that wanted to start a nonprofit that you kind of learned that you could just kind of pass along to somebody?
It's nice to have a mentor. You don't have to invent anything on your own. So find someone else who's doing it and buy them a cup of coffee and get their advice. The step-by-step for a nonprofit in Texas is you got to have a board of directors with at least 3 people. You got to have quarterly meetings, and you have to go apply for a tax-exempt status from the IRS. And what I learned as a trial lawyer, you don't have any real skills. You just assemble the different witnesses that are experts. So when I ran the business, I found an accountant and a corporate lawyer that got our stuff filed, and dog trainers, since I'm from the Montessori School of Dog Training, where you set your own goals and grade yourself. So which is why I like cats, because it's like that cat's doing a lot of things that annoy me, and I'm obsessed with it. So
I'm not good with cats at all. What's the biggest challenge with what you're doing right now? What's the thing that you constantly struggle with?
I think it's always fundraising.
Is it?
The people that work for us aren't paid a lot, and they're doing it because they're very dedicated and this is meaningful, but we do pay 100% of their health insurance and things like that. So it's always fundraising. These guide dog schools have multi-million-dollar endowments that'll last till we're all on the moon and in Mars with the Musks. But for us, it's always just that constant hustle.
Yeah. It's like we talk about this in our real estate business. Every day we wake up unemployed. Every day you wake up looking for your next donor.
Yep. They used to say in trial law, because trial lawyers, the plaintiffs are paid if they win the case, not by the hour. So they say you eat what you kill, which is full opposite of my vegan thing, but it's a metaphor. So ABC always be closing, just like
that's right.
Yeah. So
maybe you could run a charity event over there at Tesla, and then Mr. Musk can write you a big old check that will last you through.
I've thought of that. It's like anybody who's recently publicly disgraced that needs to get back in the public good graces. Step right up.
Step right up.
Absolutely.
Sit back into good public graces.
What do you think that you would be doing right now if you weren't doing this?
Wow, I've never thought of that. If I was a lawyer, I'd be very unhappy and languishing away, and my complexion would match my gray suit. I'd probably be pretty good, but I'd be miserable.
Yeah.
It's a stressful life, for sure.
Wow, I never thought about that. What a disturbing question.
And, well, unless you got into like real estate law or something like that, where it's just not, there's not a lot of contention. It's
true.
Well, you're blessed. You're doing exactly what you were put on this earth to do.
Thank you. I became a trial lawyer because that's what they were hiring that day. And they said, how long do you want to be a trial lawyer? And I was like, 5 or 10 minutes, I guess.
Looks like it, yeah. Do you have a favorite success story that you can share with us? Yeah,
I have several. We had a great black lab named Excalibur we got from the city shelter in Austin. We paired him with a pastor from Lampasas, Ray McCoy, who had a weird condition called Hubble's, where he had he had tumors all along his spinal cord that gave him a lot of pain. And if he bent a certain way, he would just lose consciousness and fall down. Geez. And one of the things he would do to get the pain to ease off is soak in a hot bath. And one day he was running the bathtub. He was still dressed. And the next thing he realizes, he's waking up, he's underwater, and he feels this pain in his ankle, and Excalibur trying to pull him out of the tub. Gosh. And he had bent over the wrong way and passed out in this tub of running water. And he and the dog kind of maneuvered him, and he kind of shimmied out of the tub, and Excalibur went and found his phone for him, even though he hadn't asked him, so he could call his wife, Michelle. And the
That's crazy.
even more interesting thing was that, so the dog wasn't trained to do that, but Excalibur was deathly afraid of water, running water. If you would turn on a faucet in the sink, he would run to the opposite end of the house. We think when he was a street dog, maybe somebody tied him up and sprayed him with a hose. So he not only rescued his partner in a way he figured out, but he overcame his biggest fear to do that, because we train on not a foundation of domination, but love and respect. So the dogs become problem solvers, because if they make a mistake, nothing bad happens. They just get another chance to try.
Yeah.
And we look at ourselves and say, how can we explain this better to the dog? Or maybe our reward isn't appealing to the dog in that moment.
Yeah, that's like if Lassie ever comes back, there's your episode right there.
Yeah,
that's a
absolutely.
great story.
I saw a quote that you said, which I think probably should be the title of this episode, using dogs that other people throw away. And you said, the stray that turned star.
Yeah, from strays to stars.
I love that. And just looking at the pictures on your website of some of these dogs, these are dogs that people would just walk by in a shelter because they're not, furry and cuddly, which
There's
are
some cute
typical.
dogs there, though.
There are some cute dogs.
We just adopted a dog for a hearing dog, and she only has one eye. Her name is Venice, because this year our theme is Renaissance names. Last year it was music, which is why we have ABBA, Elvis, Encore.
Oh, I get the look at that.
So Renaissance, she's at the very bottom with the V's, and she did. Our training director texted me because he was in wherever she's from. Where's she from? Austin Humane Society, and said, "Can we adopt a one-eyed dog?" And I said, "Can she do the job?" And he said, "Yep," and sent me. She's zeroed in on the timer on the hearing dog test. So she is living her best life with us now, and she's going to be awesome.
Wow.
So on your website, it shows, like, let's say Encore right here. So Bastrop County Animal Services, these are the places that you're getting the animals from. Do any of these places call you and say, hey, we just got a dog in that I think that you're going to want to look at?
They do.
Or is that a scary concept to have them call you all the time?
No, they do. We sometimes adopt the dogs in clusters when we have a bunch of room, because we've moved out dogs with clients. There's a great shelter in Houston called Harris County Pets. We went there just before Christmas with the intent to bring back one dog and brought back 4. And they're doing fantastic. Groove is one of them that you're looking at. He looks kind of like Rin Tin Tin. He's a German Shepherd Husky.
That's a good-looking dog.
And part of it's because our director of training, Taylor O'Neill, mentored some of the staff there, so they kind of know what he's looking for. But we love working with all the different shelters, and we've gotten dogs from all over the place. Paws around here, the shelters in San Antonio, Houston, DFW when we're out there, Austin, of course. We get a lot of dogs from Wilco, which is the Williamson County Regional Animal Shelter. So,
what percentage of dogs do you look at that actually make it into the program?
Well, I can't do math, but
approximately.
We may make 3 visits to a shelter and bring back one dog. So I would say 1 out of 300.
Oh, wow.
So you tell me what percent that is.
Don't look at me.
Yeah,
You're looking at me for math? That's
it's
pretty funny.
Yeah, it's low.
It's very low. Well, so I think that our listeners need to go to your page and donate.
Servicedogs.org.
Servicedogs.org. There's an easy button right up at the top. You can just sit there and donate. And then you were talking about the event that you have coming up, the Mighty Texas Dog Walk. Now, when is that one taking place?
That is in November.
In November.
It says November 15th, but Camp Mabry is having drills, so we're waiting to get confirmation any day on November 22nd. But we'll let everybody know. It's fun. You can wear costumes. Everybody's out there. Dog food companies, training organizations, vet clinics giving away things. We have different games. We'll have a big costume contest. Last year it was the world's biggest pajama party. So basically the airport, everybody was walking their dogs in their pajamas. And it's the doggiest day in Austin. And the Austin Business Journal listed it as one of Austin's top festivals. So we are very proud of that event.
I may have to get my grand dog and see if we can bring her out. So.
That's really
Please do.
cute.
You're showing Snuffari, which is an obstacle course where dogs use their nose to find treats in different settings, like airport detection dog. They find the hot dog in the little suitcases.
That's cool. So you mentioned in your bio you gave up social media in 2020. I want to know why you did that, and how are you spreading the word about Service Dogs Inc. now?
Well, we still have work social media, but I don't have personal anymore. I ran for office a couple of times, and you're always posting things and trying to get everyone to like you. And I wasn't successful, although I learned a whole lot, so it was valuable. But I just thought I'm over this. And it really is sort of like junk food. It's a time suck. I always feel lousy. I'm too combative. So I would always be writing obnoxious stuff like, that dog doesn't really want to wear that hat. And so I thought, this is just not good for me at all. So I've gotten off of it. I'm still slightly obnoxious, but we're all toned down. Sometimes Taylor will say, I deleted that comment you put about that dog not wanting to wear that hat or something similar. So he keeps a good eye on me.
You know what? The older I get, I'm all about protecting my peace, and I don't care what anybody else thinks.
Right.
So good for you. Protect your peace.
I grew up in the 60s, which was, if you're complicit, if you don't say anything, you're part of the problem. But that's not social media. That's standing there watching someone be bullied and saying something. But social media is what they used to call the opiate of the masses.
Yeah, it's like somebody does something terrible to somebody else and nobody stands up for that person. They just pile on, which is like one of the saddest things you can ever see.
So if you're standing there, sure, I've yelled at people that look like they're homeless. One guy was kind of being mean to a dog, so I do scream at them. But that's in the moment, not on social media, because social media is just sort of, it's a black hole.
I think that we were talking about animal cruelty. The stuff that we did to animals 50 or 60 years ago, like when I was a kid, man, it makes you cringe how we treated animals. You know, people tying them up in the backyard all day long and just throwing some food out there. And I know that still happens, but it seems to happen a lot less than it used to.
Yeah, I think people are a lot kinder than they used to be.
Yeah.
And usually, however, you're treating something weaker than you with less power is a reflection of you.
Yeah.
So, I would advocate
my
for
three little
being nice to animals.
shadows walk. As soon as I get home, they walk around with me. They follow me everywhere. These are two of I have them up on my screen.
Aww.
But yeah, I'm definitely a dog person.
Do you have rapid fires?
You know what? Everything that I was going to ask has been answered.
Well, I got one last thing. I think I might say you're a little bit of a geek on this, Sheri. The Surling Fest.
I'm just going to say for a second, you know, when people call people geeks, it's like you're enthusiastic about something, and we've sort of villainized that and said, you're a geek, you're a nerd, and it's just enthusiasm, because just being like, I don't care about anything, is that really the cool way to be?
Yeah.
So
now, to be
I'll
a
push
geek,
back on the word. It's not geek, though.
I'm just playing
It
with
means
you,
you're
Sheri.
enthusiastic. I
So
know,
tell
but I'm
us
humorous.
about
I
that
want to know what it
Surling
is.
Fest.
Okay, well, Rod Serling wrote The Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
And they've created a Serling Fest in New York, where he grew up in Binghamton, that is all things Serling. And the reason I was interested, I lost my dad when I was 6 years old. And I thought he kind of Rod Serling reminded me of my dad, same era. And his daughter wrote this book about him. And I wrote her a letter and I said, that looks like the relationship I could have had with my dad if he would have lived. And she actually wrote back. And I was like, wow, I really appreciate that. Because as a father, he was very fun loving and rolled on the floor with the dogs and always went out for took the kids out for ice cream and super joy of life. And it just made me feel connected to my father. So I felt connected to his daughter, Anne. And that's why I wanted to go to this. I haven't watched Twilight Zone since I was a kid, and it warped me and gave me a lot of phobias that anybody who watches Twilight Zone will understand. But I just want to go. It just gives me something interesting to do. Serling Fest. He was a veteran in World War II. He was a big humanitarian. A lot of the themes right after McCarthyism he was using those platforms to tell social issue stories.
Yeah. Do you remember that episode where the woman was in the airplane and she was afraid of flying and she saw some like ghoul out on the wing of the airplane?
William Shatner that was the actor in that.
Yes.
That was a young William Shatner.
That scared the hell. I still think about that when I fly. Like at night, you're like that. You know, the lights were flashing, and every once in a while she would see this, and she was telling people that. It was so scary. And what is that? It's like 60, 70 years old.
We used to watch it. There was one where they were all shrinking. I remember this one. I remember a couple of them, but it was really cool.
I'm
I like
surprised
that.
they
And
haven't tried
Elvira.
to redo some of those.
There's a lot of weird ones.
Scary.
There was one where these two little kids, their parents fought all the time, and they would take this walk down a country road and go somewhere where this grandma was making chocolate cakes, and they got to help her, and eventually they just stayed with her and they disappeared.
Oh, jeez.
Because their parents were kind of too bickering. And the Billy Mummy turning his dad into a friggin' Jack in the Box.
Oh,
They just saw the shadow of the Jack because he was like this brat and they were all afraid of him and no one knew why.
I'm sure a lot of our listeners are like, what the heck are they talking about? And I bet you all of these are on YouTube right now. So if you're under like 35 years old or 30 years old and you want to know, go look up Rod Serling.
If you watch Twilight Zone, there are a million references to it. People will do the little tune and excellent. It's on some of the streaming channels, and there's artistry, and it's really interesting show.
That's part of the lexicon now too. Whenever you have something that happens to you that's really weird, you say, "Oh, I had a Twilight Zone moment." I mean, there you go.
True.
And you'll see all these actors when they were really young. Burgess Meredith, who played the Penguin in the 60s Batman. Agnes Moorehead, who played Bewitched's mother. They're all acting their little hearts out. Jack Klugman, who was on The Odd Couple. He's in one where he plays a pool player and he's playing the devil so this little kid can live.
That's wild. Yeah. I think a lot of people got started on
There's a Twilight Zone ride at Universal. That one's pretty fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It's, very, very vomity.
Well, Sheri, thank you so much.
Oh,
this
what
was
fun.
really, really a lot of fun. And I bet a lot of our listeners right now are going to be heading to your website to make donations. And I encourage them to do that because what a great cause. What a wonderful thing you're doing.
I hope so. Like I said, the service dogs are a piece of assistive technology, but it loves you back. So I like to call it technology you can hug.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. And Steve won't let me get an office monkey. So there's that. Thanks, Steve.
I got you a stuffed office monkey.
Yeah, the batteries
are
dead
somewhere. Yeah. And Sheri might see you at the Mighty Texas Dog Walk in November. So
I hope
we'll watch for the final date on that.
We will update our listeners on when that final date is. Sheri, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you spending
It was a blast. I think we're all office monkeys. So.
There you go. True. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Sheri. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. This thoughtfully designed 55-plus community is paired with resort-style amenities and social activities. They offer 1- and 2-bedroom homes located in Dripping Springs, the gateway to the Hill Country. Make friends, make memories, make time for you at Jovi Belterra. Live JoviBelterra.com, 737-387-6870.
From rodeo clowns, teachers or doctors, and everyone in between, Texans have one thing in common: hard work deserves smart banking. At Southstar Bank, whether you're buying your first home, building a dream ranch, or just managing daily finances, our 16 branches across Central Texas are here for you. Southstar Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, and built for Texas. SouthstarBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender, NMLS 410624.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Get to know your local full-service Generac dealer.
Cody and Dylan with Nomic Power Solutions are a veteran-owned, Texas-based Generac dealer and installer.
Offering low monthly payment options, it's never been easier to gain independence from the grid.
Call or text 512-387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Turnkey service including design, plumbing, electrical, and permits.
They even offer set-it-and-forget-it maintenance plans. Nomic Power Solutions.
Protect your home. Protect your family. Stay ready.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com.
You know you like us, so go now to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a review. Why don't ya? We love your feedback and comments. Email us at malletandmichelle@gmail.com.
Thanks for putting up with us.